Saturday and Sunday night, 8 Eastern.
Welcome back to Larry King Live. It's now a great pleasure to welcome Orlando Bloom. He's in Los Angeles, the noted actor who, by the way, traveled to Antarctica. That's our subject for the remainder of the show tonight. He went there earlier this year to examine the effects of global warming firsthand. And here in New York is Sebastian Copeland, the acclaimed photographer and environmental advocate who serves on the board of directors of Global Green USA. His photographs are seen in the stunning new book, Antarctica. There you see its cover, The Global Warning. He's also, by the way, Orlando Bloom's cousin. That adds fire to the fire here, if there is such an expression. This book, by the way, will get its official opening at the United Nations. Well, what led to this, Sebastian?
Well, I've been working with an organization called Global Green USA for about a decade now, and I took a trip to the Arctic in 2005, that is, to raise awareness on behalf of the Inuit and essentially put a face to climate change. On that trip, we created an image, which was an aerial image, utilizing thousands of Inuit kids and positioning them on the ice so that their bodies would spell a message. And my friend John Quigley, who's an aerial artist, put that together. And we decided to echo the message that we created in the north to the south.
When you went, did you know there would be a book?
No, absolutely not. I went down to Antarctica to create another image, essentially by taking the crew members from the ship and putting them on an iceberg and using their bodies to spell the letters SOS and shooting it from the sky or from the mast of the ship. And the experience that I had while I was down there shooting was so incredible. And as a photographer, I kept shooting, and I came back with work that was, I thought, interesting enough to go back.
Extraordinary. We're showing pages of it to the viewers. The foreword, by the way, to this book is by Mikhail Gorbachev, and the preface by Leonardo DiCaprio. Orlando, what drew you to this?
To be honest, my cousin has been a great activist for the environment for many years, and for about six years now, we've been talking about it. And he was going on this trip down to Antarctica, and I was fascinated to go down and see this, majestic environment for myself, and really see firsthand what was at stake. When we talk about the environment, I think it can feel so far away from all of us, and I wanted to be there firsthand to see exactly what was going on.
What surprised you?
The size, the majestic kind of quality of that environment, and yet the fragility of it, really. It felt incredibly fragile. I mean, this is an environment that is full of life. In the water, we were on a science research boat. There were like 47 of us, and it was a very close-quartered kind of environment on the boat, but around us, this incredible environment full of life, teeming with, whether it was penguins or seals or whales. It was an incredible environment, and yet it just felt so fragile. When you look at statistically what's happening in the world today, it just felt incredibly dangerous, in terms of where it could go from now, which is basically be gone.
Anything, Orlando, like the terrain of, say, New Zealand when you did Lord of the Rings?
No, I can't say I can compare it to any landscape I've ever been in before, actually, Larry. No, it was something unlike anything I've ever experienced. I feel incredibly blessed to have been there, really. It's not like anywhere in the world.
What was it like for you, Sebastian? Is it like anywhere else for you?
No, it's completely unique. I mean, Antarctica yields a landscape that is so otherworldly, and it's really extraordinary because humans have never been, there's never been any indigenous population in Antarctica, and when you enter this environment that is so vast and so powerful, you really get to understand the relationship of humans to humanity, to nature, and that is that we're just one part of it. We're one in 30 million species on this planet, and it sort of puts everything in perspective a little bit.
How do you get there?
By ship. You could get there by army planes, but most people get there by ship, and that can be a pretty daunting experience. It has to be for the averted.
You sailed out of where?
We sell out of Ushuaia in the southern tip of Patagonia. You can sell from New Zealand as well or South Africa, but typically most of the tourists come through Ushuaia, and you come across the Drake Passage, which is a pretty wretched body of water.
We'll be right back with Orlando Bloom and Sebastian Copeland. The book is Antarctica, now available. Don't go away.
But when we arrived in Antarctica, I was awed by its beauty and scale. Nature has a real strong way of speaking to one if one listens. It's a very meditative and a real communion relationship with the environment. The photography that I bring forth in this book is essentially a way I'm hoping that people will get more connected with it and recognize what they stand to lose.
We're back with Orlando Bloom and Sebastian Copeland. Orlando in L.A., Sebastian here in New York. The book is Antarctica, just published. The subtitle is The Global Warning. Did this have an effect on you, this trip, Orlando?
Yeah, I have to say it was, I was on this, search science research boat for about 3 weeks, and it was truly a breathtaking experience. I mean, there was no communication with the outside world for 3 weeks, which is something that in itself is quite crazy in today's world of technology. But we would all have a role to play on the boat. Mine was I was the Zodiac driver. Basically, when we would make landfall, so when the boat would come up to a port or somewhere where we would stop to go to the land, I would drive the Zodiac. So I would be ferrying the passengers and people across to the land, and it was just being part of a crew and part of a team of people who were just felt like breaking new borders and looking at the environment in a way which I've never experienced before.
What were the, Sebastian, photographic challenges?
Well, the photographic challenges is that you're constantly on a moving vessel, and that in itself can be autonomous to landscape photography, which is typically very studied, and you stand there with a tripod, wait for the perfect light. In Antarctica, there's a ever-changing weather, and you're always moving on a ship. You can never control exactly your position, so you never know whether the shot that you're taking to begin with is going to yield a better result than the last, because you're always, out of control. You're not walking.
How cold would it get?
Not so cold in the summer months. I mean, the peninsula is a fairly temperate weather. The temperatures rarely drop below 10, below zero. Wind chill factor, give or take another 5 to 10 degrees. But in the summer months, it's not too bad, and very often above freezing.
Evidences, Orlando, of damage to the environment. Can you see it?
Well, obviously, having not been down to that part of the world before, I wouldn't have anything to compare it with. But what really was apparent was what was at stake. We made one landfall trip, where we climbed this glacier in Port Foyne, and it was an incredible trek up. I mean, there's crevasses that you have to navigate around that can be anything from 20 feet to 200 feet deep. And we got to the top, and it was breathtakingly quiet, and the view was phenomenal. You could see for what felt like the edge of the earth, and it just, when you're standing at the top of a glacier like this, you just feel so humbled and so human and so little in this great landscape. And when you think about how easy it is for us to overlook the importance of that place and what it's doing for our lives to live in. I mean, in London last year, there was a hurricane that took out 4 houses in North London. We don't get tornadoes in North London. It was a tornado, I'm sorry, but and I know that it's just there's a water crisis happening in Atlanta right now as well, which is all happening, and it's easy for us to sort of sit back and think, well, somebody else will take care of it. But really, just the little things that we can each of us do, just to make a step in the direction of being aware, socially and consciously aware of the environment, whether it's as small as turning off your mobile phone chargers, or using energy efficient light bulbs, or just thinking about just making that one step to living a greener, thinking in a greener way. I think anything can help.
How, Sebastian, did you get Mikhail Gorbachev and Leonardo DiCaprio, there's diverse people,
Yes.
to be involved in this?
Well, Mikhail Gorbachev is the founder of Green Cross International. Global Green USA is the U.S. affiliate to Green Cross International. So I've met President Gorbachev on multiple occasions, and he comes and visits the U.S. Once or twice a year. So I approached him through the organization, and he was kind enough to lend his support. Obviously, he's been committed to this issue for a very long time. And Leonardo is actually a fellow board member of Global Green as well. So we've done quite a bit of work together. I started working with doing a pre-Oscar party about 5 years ago for Global Green, and Leo was an early supporter of it. So he's obviously, very well respected in the space for his commitment.
The book is Antarctica. Back with our remaining moments with Orlando Bloom and the brilliant photographer Sebastian Copeland right after this.
If you examine how society functions, we really function on borrowed time. We use power to operate into a cycle that ultimately is really not natural.
Back, Orlando, we have to ask, I know you were involved in some sort of car crash scene in Los Angeles. Has that been cleared up? Were the paparazzi involved in that?
Yeah, it wasn't a very pleasant situation, but yeah, it's all being resolved, and thankfully, everyone involved was safe and making swift recovery, and the police and emergency services came remarkably quickly. We were very lucky indeed.
Do you think, Sebastian, we're winning the fight against global warming or losing?
Well, that's a complex question. We're entering the dawn of a new awareness, is how I like to define it. We've been very, very reluctant to be accountable for our actions. I mean, we've been taking carbon out of the earth for the last 150 years and pouring 70 million tons of carbon into the air every 24 hours, and we've done that unchecked for a very long time.
So you're pessimistic with sound?
I think that it's going to take a couple of generations to turn this around. It's a very, very daunting task, but it is really an individual responsibility, and the bottom line is that we all are responsible and we have to change our ways.
Orlando, what do you think of the book?
Oh, I'm so proud of my cousin. I'm so proud of my cousin. I just was blown away. I was there with him. He was up all the hours. Literally, I think he had about 4 hours sleep a night because he was up to get the first light, to get the last light, and in the middle of the night, it was, and I was there as much as I could to support. But I'm so proud of him. He's created an incredible book, and I think it's one of hope. I think those images are really full of hope and encouragement, and I think that it's easy to think of the environment as all doom and gloom, and that what can we do? It's too late, and the polar bears are gone, and everything's gone. But really, just the little steps that we can make as individuals make a big difference, and it's really changing consciousness and thinking, just each of us taking responsibility in a little way, and I'm so proud of him, and I was very happy to be there and be a part of that adventure.
It is, by the way, for people tuning in, a brilliant book. It's available now. Sebastian Copeland, forward by Gorbachev, prefaced by DiCaprio, Antarctica. When you take a picture, do you know what you're going to get, or do you need to see it developed?
No, I mean, typically, there's a discovery process, of course. Sometimes you discover the pictures when you come home. Even though in the age of digital now, you get to enjoy an immediate image of what you have. But it's really you
know what you're getting mostly, though.
Typically, yes, you do, yeah.
Orlando, thank you very much. Continued good fortune. Sebastian, nothing but the best of luck with this brilliant book.
Thank you, sir.
Sebastian Copeland, Orlando Bloom. A reminder to check out our website, cnn.com/Larry King. You can download our newest podcast. You'll also find quick votes, web extras, all at cnn.com/Larry King. AC 360 starts right now.